is Catherine, welcome to my channel. Hope so you will enjoy the little tutorials. Let's watching!
Hey everyone! Welcome back to my channel. My name is Catherine, and in today's video, I am going to show you how to make easy borders that you can add to any quilt. To make it more easy, I have a quilt top all done and it's ready to have borders. If you've been quilting for a while, you know how important it is to get those borders just right for a finished, smooth look. If you're new to quilting, don't worry, we're going to break it down step by step. So let's get started. Begin by ensuring your quilt top is pieced together and ready for borders. Measure and cut the borders to fit. Side borders should match the width of your quilt, while top and bottom borders may need adjusting based on the quilt size. Ensure that your edges are precisely cut and accurately measured. It is essential to maintain a high level of accuracy to prevent puckering or uneven seams in future stages. The initial step involves determining how to cut the borders, specifically the length of the material. To do this, measure all sides of the quilt and then add the lengths together. This provides the total amount of material needed for the quilt. First, as you can see in this video, I measure and cut the material to a width of 2.5 inches. After stitching and accounting for seam allowances, it will create the perfect border. Therefore, cutting enough pieces of fabric of this size is essential, and sewing them together will provide sufficient length for my quilt. My sewing room is very small, so I need to improvise to make things work. Let's head over to the sewing machine, and I'm just going to sew them into one long piece. Reduce the seam to approximately 1/4 inch. After sewing this into one long piece, it is advisable to iron the seam allowances open. This step is crucial when applying the binding to the quilt, as it reduces excess bulk at any single point. Once the seams are pressed open, fold the piece in half lengthwise and then proceed to iron it. I always use iron to smooth the material so that all the seams are laying flat. Fold it in half and remember that the seams are pressed open. Okay, so here's the whole long piece of binding. Next, we will proceed by attaching the borders to the quilt. We will begin with the side borders. It is advisable to start pinning from the center of the quilt and then evenly along each side. This technique helps prevent excessive stretching of the fabric during the sewing process. Start at the center and work your way out to the edges. Be sure to backstitch at the beginning and end of your seams to keep everything secure. We are going to sew this using a 1/4 inch seam. I have aligned all the raw edges, and I will continue to ensure they remain properly aligned. And I'm just going to keep lining it up and stitching around the quilt, so then I'll show you what we have to do when we get to the corners. Corner here, you're going to want to stitch to where you are 1/4 inch away from this bottom corner. When doing the corner, as you can see here, you're going to stitch to where you are 1/4 inch away from this bottom edge. So sometimes I will put a pin right there in the corner. Also, you can mark it with a chalk pencil, so that you know when you should stop. Stitch down your about 1/4 inch up from the bottom there, and remember to back stitch as well. Got a 45-degree angle there, and that fold is pointing right to the corner of the quilt, and then fold it down so that this fold is even with that edge. So what we've got here is a little flap that could go back and forth. Take it off of the machine, and now we're going to pivot the quilt. We're going to turn this 90 degrees and then fold your binding up like this, so. Keep the edge of the material line up together evenly. I've marked the point where I need to start it again. Now we already stitched to that spot. We want to start our new stitching in the same spot, which is basically right here again. You can put a pin in or marked it like me. If you want to put a dot there with a chalk pencil, that works also. Now I'm going to continue all the way around the quilt, doing each corner the way I just showed. Be sure to backstitch at the beginning and end of your seams to keep everything secure. Keep a steady pace as you sew, making sure to align the edges of the quilt top and the border fabric. You want to avoid any shifting, so if needed, use pins or clips to keep everything in place. As you can see now, I have finished and started in the same spot. This technique gives you perfect corners. Then I will fold it over and stitch it on the top of the fabric. And now again we are going to do the corner. This is a second corner, and you will have a chance to see it again. What about the edge? So, sometimes I will put a pin right there in the corner to mark it. Also, you can mark it with a chalk pencil, so that you know when you should stop. Then stitch down, and remember to keep about 1/4 inch up from the bottom there. You got a 45-degree angle there, and that fold is pointing right to the corner of the quilt, and then fold it that way so this fold is even with that edge. When you got a 45-degree angle and the fold is pointing right to the corner of the quilt like I show you, you're gonna to mark the pattern to ensure you stop in the right place. So you can see how I fold the material to mark my 45-degree angle. This mark a line on the material so is easy to see when to stop. I'm just going to hold everything and stitch to the corner, and have my needle stop right there so I can turn the corner. Pivot everything and keep stitching, and that's how you get a nice neat corner on your quilt. And there we have 90-degree angle on the material as well as marked line on the material. Is so easy when you do it that way. I've marked the point where I need to start it again. Keep the edge of the material line up together evenly. Now I'm going to continue all the way around the quilt, doing each corner the way I just showed. Be sure to backstitch at the beginning and end of your seams to keep everything secure. Continue putting the binding on, turning the corners until the whole quilt is done. And I'm going to stop a couple inches from the edge here, so I've got a big tail here. Remember to backstitch. So I've got a big tail here which I do not need it. So first step is to cut this off nice and straight. Watch carefully how I do this. So I make sure my material is straight and flat. Then I mark the end of the one tail, so I have nice clear line. Sorry about the light, is my lamp and is difficult to video this without the strong light. So you can see I have marked the about a 1/4 inch seam allowance, so that means I need a 1/2 inch of overlap there, and then I will cut the material. And now let's take it to the machine. I'm going to seam this together using a 1/4 inch seam. And there we have. Now I'm just going to finger press the seam allowance open, because that really helps it lay the flattest. Takes a little straightening, but there we go. Now we're gonna to stitch this last little bit down so all in nice together. We are going to turn this over all of those raw edges to the back of the quilt. We're gonna to sew it right there. And remember, keep using about a 1/4 inch seam allowance. I have used many pins to help me to keep the edge together. Now we just continue all around the quilt. As you can see, I have nice even seam all around the quilt. And now I decided to add another stitch, but this is all optional. I just wanted different look. Now I show you how this looks closer. And there we have it. This is a ready quilt.